Imagine you're standing in a forest. No roads, no fire, even. Just trees, shadow, and hunger. You find fruit scattered on the ground, soft, bruised, split open in the heat. It smells strange, sharp, almost sour. You eat it anyway. That faint burn on your tongue? That's ethanol. And the creature eating it isn't human. Not yet. That happened roughly 10 million years ago, and somehow, the instinct that made your ancestors swallow that fruit still lives in you today. Every time you reach for a drink, you're echoing a decision made long before language, before fire, before we were even us. Here's the part most people miss. That fermenting fruit wasn't a treat. It was a lifeline. In a world with no guaranteed next meal, overripe fruit was calorie-dense, packed with sugars breaking down into something even more potent. It smelled stronger, which meant it could be found faster, even in darkness or thick brush. And because most competing animals couldn't tolerate the ethanol forming inside it, there was less competition fighting over it. For an early primate scanning the forest floor, that sharp, fermented scent wasn't a warning. It was an invitation. A signal that said, "Eat this first. Survive a little longer." That single instinct would end up rewriting our biology. In 2014, biologist Matthew Kerrigan and his team traced this instinct back to its source, a single genetic mutation in an enzyme called ADH4. Before that mutation, our ancestors could barely process ethanol at all. After it, something changed. Their bodies suddenly metabolized alcohol 40 times more efficiently than before. Think of it like upgrading from a slow, clumsy filter to a precise, fast-acting one almost overnight, in evolutionary terms. This wasn't a random quirk. It emerged right around the time our ancestors moved from trees to forest floors, where fermented fruit was more common. In other words, we didn't stumble into a tolerance for alcohol. We evolved one. Most people assume that's cultural. It isn't. It's written into our biology. So for millions of years, that's all it was, an accident. Ripe fruit. Lucky timing. A body built to handle it. Then something shifts. Somewhere in our prehistory, waiting for fruit to rot stopped being enough. Ancient humans started making it happen on purpose, soaking grains, storing honey, letting nature's chemistry work on command instead of by chance. That's a strange leap, if you think about it. Instinct became intention. Accident became craft. And now, here you are, thousands of years later, holding a cold drink at the end of a long day, feeling like it's a purely modern comfort, when really, it's the same impulse, just with better packaging. The evidence backs this up in ways that still surprise researchers. At Jiahu in ancient China, archaeologists found pottery dating back nearly 9,000 years, coated in the residue of a fermented drink made from rice, honey, and fruit. Around the same era, at Göbekli Tepe, one of the oldest known ritual sites on Earth, researchers uncovered traces suggesting early beer brewing, tied not to feasting alone, but to ceremony. Even earlier, some researchers argue, our ancestors may have fermented honey into mead, long before grain entered the picture at all. This wasn't casual. Brewing took patience, timing, and shared knowledge passed between people, which means alcohol wasn't just consumed in early human life. It was built, deliberately, communally, on purpose. Here's where the story gets genuinely unsettling. Some archaeologists have proposed something that still divides the field, that early humans may not have begun farming grain primarily to make bread. They may have done it to make beer. Think about what that means. the agricultural revolution, the single most transformative shift in human history, possibly accelerated by the desire to brew. And beyond farming, alcohol did something else. It brought people together around a shared experience, lowering suspicion, building trust between strangers, creating ritual and rhythm in early communities. In a world where cooperation meant survival, that mattered enormously. Alcohol didn't just reflect early civilization, it may have helped construct it. So the next time you reach for a drink, consider what you're actually holding. Not a social habit, not a modern indulgence. Something far older than agriculture, older than civilization, older than the species that eventually learned to bottle it. Somewhere between a primate on a forest floor and the world we built around ourselves, alcohol became woven into what we are biologically, culturally, ritually. That thread has never really broken. 10 million years of evolution, thousands of years of intentional brewing, entire civilizations possibly shaped around it. And it all began with something fallen, overripe, and quietly fermenting in the dirt. The oldest thing in your glass isn't the drink, it's the instinct,